The First Battle of the Aisne took place from September 13 to September 28, 1914, during the early stages of World War I, following the First Battle of the Marne. It marked the beginning of trench warfare, which would characterize much of the conflict on the Western Front. In early September 1914, the German advance through France, part of the Schlieffen Plan, was halted by the French and British forces at the First Battle of the Marne, September 6 to 12. After their defeat at the Marne, the German armies, under the command of General Helmuth von Moltke, retreated north to the Aisne River, establishing defensive positions along the northern banks. The Germans took advantage of the region's naturally defensive terrain, with high ridges and plateaus overlooking the Aisne River. The Allied forces, primarily composed of the French 5th and 6th Armies and the British Expeditionary Force, BEF, under General Joseph Joffre and Field Marshal Sir John French, respectively, pursued the retreating Germans and reached the Aisne River on September 13. The Allies hoped to press the retreating Germans further and achieve a breakthrough. On September 13, French and British forces crossed the Aisne River using temporary pontoon bridges, or existing damaged bridges, intending to push the Germans out of their newly formed defensive positions on the heights above the river. However, they encountered strong German resistance. The Germans had established heavily fortified positions on the ridges, including trenches, machine gun nests, and artillery batteries, which were highly effective against the advancing Allied troops. The British Expeditionary Force, BEF, under Sir John French faced fierce resistance on the Chemin des Dames Ridge, a high plateau that dominated the landscape and provided the Germans with a clear view of Allied movements. Despite several attempts to dislodge the Germans, the British were unable to break through their defenses. The French armies faced similar difficulties in their sectors, as German machine gun fire and well-placed artillery inflicted heavy casualties. Over the next 2 weeks, the battle turned into a stalemate. Both sides attempted frontal assaults on enemy positions, but these assaults proved costly and ineffective. By mid-September, both the Germans and Allies had begun digging trenches, realizing that the war was becoming a defensive struggle. The trench systems that began forming along the Aisne River extended into what would later become the vast trench networks of the Western Front. The First Battle of the Aisne is significant, because it marked the end of the mobile phase of warfare that characterized the early months of the war. The battle demonstrated the defensive superiority of entrenched positions supported by modern artillery and machine guns, which rendered traditional infantry attacks largely futile. Both sides suffered heavy casualties during the battle, but neither was able to achieve a decisive victory. The Germans maintained their defensive positions, and the Allies were unable to push them back further. The battle ended in a stalemate, with both sides settling into their trench systems, signaling the beginning of trench warfare, which would dominate the Western Front for the next 4 years. The Aisne region would continue to be a key battleground throughout the war, with later battles such as the Second Battle of the Aisne in 1917. The experience of this battle demonstrated the challenges of breaking through entrenched lines, and the need for new strategies and technologies to overcome the static nature of trench warfare. In summary, the First Battle of the Aisne, 1914, was a critical moment in World War I, marking the transition from mobile warfare to the prolonged, deadly trench warfare that would define the Western Front. Both sides realized the need for improved defensive and offensive tactics in a new era of industrialized conflict.